Hi everybody, Chef Paul. Welcome to Back Burner. I am the food service director at Colorado Academy for Sodexo, and tonight we're going to make some beef pho. And I want to mention that we had an ingredients list that went out. You could have made your own stock. Kudos to you if you did. So the instructions are basically to make a beef broth with beef bones, roasted bones. You throw some star anise, some cinnamon, some ginger, onion, and make a broth. Come on over here. I've done this two ways. So I purchased this one, and right here I've got a turkey stock. So somebody in our home is allergic to shellfish, so I can't serve the fish sauce because I don't really know what's in it to that person. So I'll use the turkey stock for them. So parents, let's get a pot of boiling water going for our rice noodles. If you've got the broth, go ahead and get it on the stove and get it warm. Tonight will probably go a lot faster than some of the other nights, particularly because we prepared our stocks ahead of time, or we purchased our stock, so it wouldn't be a 6-hour show tonight. So I've got a hot saute pan. Right here, I've got half of a white onion, and I've got a nice squared off piece of ginger, and I'm just going to show you how to char these in your saute pan. Our other list of ingredients tonight, I have red onion was not on the list, but I had one sitting around, so I grabbed it. Bean sprouts. I did not find fresh bean sprouts, so I found a can of bean sprouts. I've got scallion, green onion. I bought some Thai basil, some cilantro. I saw some water chestnuts at the last minute, which I thought would be kind of nice. I also have a lime, a jalapeno. I did pick up a Nappy Cabbage before I found my canned bean sprouts, and I have a little Bok Choy leaf. And then also optional sriracha, or you can also throw in some hoisin sauce, and that is also something I don't keep around because it might have shellfish in it. So I've got a hot pan right here, and I'm gonna drop in my half onion. No oil, just a hot pan, and my ginger. I've got a Vietnamese chef buddy, and he told me what he likes to do when he makes a pho broth is he likes to grill his ginger and grill his onion and char it really well. So I did a trial run earlier for the turkey stock, and what I found was the onion will char pretty well, but the garlic, I'm going to put a little weight on top of it. So I've got my water started over here for my rice noodles, and I'm just going to leave that. We'll come back to the cutting board and work on a few things. Like I said, this red onion was last minute, so everything's been cleaned, everything's been sanitized, your hands, make sure your knives are clean, your board's been scrubbed down after you use it each time. I should also mention that I bought flat iron steak. This was one piece, I cut it in half. What we'll do with this is when we take our onion and our ginger out of the pan, we're just gonna pan sear this very, very quickly, and then we'll slice it as thin as we can for a plate up. So remember, this is the bottom of the onion. It grows out of the ground like this. Keeping our fingers back and thumb tucked. Now, I'm not going to use a lot of this onion, so probably 1/8 of it. So if you have an extra onion laying around, again, this was not on my ingredients list. Remember, I've got my trash bin close, so I don't have to go underneath the sink every time. Okay, so I'm going to cut this in half. I'm going to reserve that one for later. Use it for something else. Now, I'm going to cut this about a third of it because I'm doing this dish in a small bowl. Now what I want to do is I want to cut this as thin as possible. All of our ingredients today, we're going to shave as thin as we can. Because they're going to go into our bowl raw. And we don't want them, we want them to be able to heat up in the broth. Okay. Hope everybody's doing all right this week. So I've got my onions. Again, that was an add-on. Now I can smell my ginger and onion back here. This may stick a little. Let's just take a peek. So we're looking, we want to char this for our stock. All right, so let's take a look at this one. We're going to flip the ginger, put this one back, and we're going to just coax that ginger along. Our rice noodles are going. Our water for our rice noodles is going, so I'm going to put, here's my rice noodles. I'm going to put about 1/2 of this in. I've got a little salt in my water as well. Should have mentioned that. And I think I'll throw the whole pack in. Leftovers. So your kitchen should start to really smell like that onion and that charred ginger. Okay, now we'll come back to our board, and we have our sprouts are all ready to go. Here are our scallions. So we want to cut these, cut the roots off. We want to cut these as thin as possible, just like the red onion. And notice this one's a little tired, so I'm going to pull that one right off. Okay, and this looks good. This one's a little tired. I'm going to take that off right there. So I like to inspect the ends here. I'm just going to trim off the tip. Discard those. So it doesn't matter really which end you start with. I prefer to start on this end. I've got just 3 onions. I'm going to bring my knife straight down. I'm going to keep my knuckles back and my thumb tucked. And I want to go as thin as I can. If it means going a little slower to make sure you get it right, do that. And I'm walking my fingers back. You don't want to chase any piece of the onion that escapes. Go back and get that later. Okay, so now I'm close to the end of my board. So I want to bring the onion back in the middle. All right. Now I can smell that, so I'm going to come back here and I can show you what we've done. So this is a good charred onion. Came apart on me. That's all right. This is what we want for our stock. So just to give you a heads up, that's what you want to do for your ginger and your onion for your stock. I'm going to leave this pan on because I'm going to sear my beef. I'm checking my rice noodles. They're just fine. I do not have any seasoning on this. I'm going to drop it in. It's going to probably be pretty loud. And I just want to sear it around the edges. I want the center of the meat to still be rare, okay? Be sure to keep the handle back. Keep the handle away from yourself so you don't accidentally bump into it. Now I've got a very hot pan here and I want to be very careful. Put it in the sink. See the nice char I got on here? It's still very rare in the middle. Okay. All right, let's go back to our cutting board. Whew. Kind of smoked the house out a little bit. Gonna open my back door. Let some fresh air in here. So I've got my scallions all set. Try and talk a little louder with my door open now for fresh air. Okay, now I've got my Thai basil and I just want to pick this. I do not want to chop this up. We want to have it nice and in its original growing state. You can see the purple of the Thai basil. Regular domestic basil doesn't get purple like this. And the stems are much firmer and also a little purple. So get your basil picked. Okay, we're going to discard our stems. And a leaf like this, you just want to toss that out. Okay. I've got my cilantro that I've already kind of picked through a little bit. Okay. These are my water chestnuts. Sometimes you can get them whole. These are already sliced and ready to go. Next, I have a jalapeno to cut. All right, let me rinse my knife of some green onion. Always keep your fingers back, remember, and your thumb tucked. And we're going to do these as thin as possible. I'm going to walk my fingers back. The jalapenos this season have not been very hot, so I am not wearing a glove. Okay, take that right down. I got a feeling I'll need some sriracha later because of the jalapenos not being too hot in Colorado right now. By the time we get them. All right, next I have, this is a Nappy Cabbage. This was not on the list, but again, when I didn't think I could find bean sprouts, I picked this up. So it grows like this. It's got beautiful color. I'm going to cut it lengthways, straight down. See how pretty that is? It's nice and delicate, nice and light. I'm going to cut it again. So now I've got 4 quarters. So now I'm going to, this is the rib right here. I'm going to cut this out. And I am going to slice this as thin as I can. And I'm going to switch knives. I'm keeping pressure down so it doesn't roll up on me. Keeping my fingers down and my thumb tucked. Now towards the end, it's going to become a lot thicker. And if it gets too thick for our pho, I'm not going to use it and save it for something else. So this is what I'm looking for this cabbage. All right, my noodles are about ready. To quote, all right, this is going to be hot. So I've got 2 hot pads. I know that these are ready, but I'll show you. The water's pretty cloudy. A little warm. That noodle's ready. All right. I want to turn my water off. Now, make sure when you're carrying hot water to the sink, you got a clean path, you don't have any pets in your way. I'm going to move my face away because my glasses will steam up. Okay. Now, we don't want these to cool off completely, but we do want to make sure they don't stick. So I am going to rinse them really quick with some water. Okay, and we're just going to leave them right there. I also had some Bok Choy. So I saved some Bok Choy. This was not on our ingredients list, but once again, I couldn't find the bean sprouts, so I improvised. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay these out like basil when we julienne the basil. Got the biggest leaf on the outside so I can wrap up everything else. And again, julienne this with my fingers back as thin as I can. The work you did ahead with the broth, or if you purchased the broth, we are almost ready to eat, if you can believe it. Okay, so now I've got my bok choy. I also wrote on the ingredients that you could put whatever you wanted, whatever the family preference is for vegetables. Just try and cut everything as thin as possible. Okay. Now I'm going to bring this beef over to the table. Now a trick behind making sure this stays is nice and thin. One of the tricks is if you put this in the freezer for about 15-20 minutes, it'll firm up and then you can really make nice thick, thin cuts. So I've got a nice fillet knife here for this. These are literally going to be as thin as possible. Watch your finger. This is probably our quickest class to date. All right, so we're about ready for plate up. So if you have your stock ready to go, let's go ahead and bring that up to a boil. I'm going to use my store-bought one because my allergy friend is not home yet. So I'll eat this one. All right. So I've got my bowl. First thing I want to do is put my noodles in. Then I want to come back over here and I want to lay my beef in nice and gently. And now I want to top it off and garnish it. So I've got my sprouts. I've got my red onion. I've got a little bok choy, a little Nappy Cabbage, some jalapenos, my water chestnuts, and I almost forgot my lime. So I've got a nice lime right here. I'll just use the corner of my board. I'm going to cut the ends off. Cut it right down the middle. I'm going to cut this in half. Now what I'll do is I'll cut this middle pith out, membrane right there. And I will make nice little slices of this lime. Okay. Now I also have my cilantro and my Thai basil. I want to squeeze a little lime in there and a couple right here for garnish. I got my beef broth ready to go. Just going to pour this right over the top as it's boiling. I hope everybody enjoys their pho tonight. See if we have any questions. Oh, thank you. I hope everybody's doing well. On Wednesday, June 3rd, I'm going to do a commencement dinner. And there'll be kind of recipe videos for you to follow. And then on Wednesday the 3rd, when we usually have commencement dinner, you can do commencement dinner at your house. So look for that. Thanks for watching Back Burner tonight. I got some very nice thank yous. I really appreciate that. Have fun and enjoy each other. And I'll see you next time.